Welcome to Coach Heeb's Courtside. I have Scott Coval with me today, head coach and athletic director at DeSales University. He's been there a quarter of a century, and it's autopilot at this point with the winning. I'm going to ask him a few questions. Not many people maybe that play for him know about his playing career, so we're going to go into some of that too from his days at Whitehall. First of all, you're both the athletic director and the head basketball coach. What is a typical day like for somebody who does both?
Well, first of all, a quarter of a century. That's a way to, makes me feel really old. It's been great to be both the athletic director and head basketball coach at DeSales. It's an unbelievable place. The support that we get from the administration is just tremendous. It's been that way since I've been here, 25 years. And they care about athletics. They want us to be good. They support us in a lot of different ways, and they allow our coaches to do really good things with all our teams. And so we're proud of what we built over the last 20 years, and I think the best is yet to come.
Yeah, is there ever going to be a plan for a new basketball facility?
Well, it's actually on the master plan. We did an athletic master plan a few years ago. We added 2 new artificial turf fields, new tennis courts, a new track. We're building a new baseball stadium and softball stadium this spring. There's plans for a lot of different things, and a new basketball arena is on the plan, although that's down the road a little bit. Talking
about change, there was one negative change at Whitehall. I drove out yesterday to confirm the rumor. They said they took down the 1982-83 state championship sign right outside of the gymnasium. What happened with that?
It was a good run. We was up there for 30, 35 years.
Wow.
It was a good run. I don't know all the particulars or the specifics, but we were proud that it was up there for that long, and we certainly were proud to represent Whitehall.
And I think the plan is to bring it indoors. I don't think they're getting rid of it. I think they're just moving it when they fix the roof.
There's really good people at Whitehall. I'm still close to a lot of those people, including Bob Hartman, the athletic director, and they'll represent that state championship well, I'm sure.
And as far as the Lehigh Valley goes, there has not been a team win at the highest level in Pennsylvania since Whitehall did it back then at the highest level. We've had state champions, but not at the biggest level of schools. Does that still give you some pride?
Oh, I don't know about that. I know Parkland a few years ago when Eddie Olson was a senior, and Eddie ended up coming to DeSales and having a great career for us, and they made it all the way to the state championship. And the thing is, you'd love to see people do that, because I know the experience that we had, the memories that you get, the relationships and the bonds that you build through that time. You'd love to see other people have that, and so for me, you'd love to see somebody else do it at some point. It takes obviously being on a talented team, but it also takes a lot of luck. I mean, you got to have some breaks. You got to play the teams that you can beat, and it all has to line up for you. So it will happen, and hopefully it'll happen sooner rather than later.
And your high school coach back then was the legendary Dick Tracy. His style, he liked to, ball control, run some clock, get the good shot, and be really fundamentally sound. That's not exactly how your teams play. Your teams are fundamentally sound, but you're up and down the court a little bit more. How much have you brought with you?
Well, it's, he was a terrific high school coach.
Mm-hmm.
He was a great man, treated us really well, certainly gave us everything we needed to be successful. We played a different style, and there's no question about that. Looking back on it, I think all of us probably would have liked to get out and run a little bit more than what we did, but we were very successful with it, so there's certainly no arguing that. At DeSales and as a coach, I mean, obviously he has some influence on what we do. The fundamental part, certainly, we still do fundamentals even now, this late in the season.
Yeah.
We're working on shooting and ball handling and passing, but it's a different game, and we get up and down the court, we average 80 points a game. It's just a different game at this point than it was 35 years ago. 3-point line makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Shot clock makes a huge difference. And, in basketball, like anything else, you have to adapt or die. And so we've adapted.
And who were some of your role models as coaches growing up? As you went to college and had a successful career at William and Mary, who were your role models? You said, I want to do it like that guy does it.
It was interesting because, obviously Coach Tracy to begin with, but then when I got to William & Mary, Bruce Parkhill was my coach as a freshman and was very, very good. A very, very, very good technician. And he ended up leaving after my first year and go to Penn State. And at that point, I thought, oh boy, you're a freshman in college. The guy who recruited me, this is the guy I wanted to play for. He leaves, it's like your world starts falling apart. But the guy who took over for him was his brother, Barry Parkhill.
Okay.
And Barry was awesome. In fact, Barry just texted me yesterday, and we went back and forth texting each other. And Barry really is somebody I took a ton of stuff away with coming out of college. And after I got out of college, when I graduated from William & Mary in '86, Bruce Parkhill, who was at Penn State at the time, offered to take me on as a grad assistant at Penn State. And at that point, the staff at Penn State was just tremendous. Ed DeCellis, who's currently the head coach at Navy, Tim Loomis, who became a Division I head coach, Jerry Dunn, who became a Division I head coach. They were part of the staff with Bruce Parkhill and myself, and I'd just sit in staff meetings and learn. I'd sit in film breakdown sessions and learn. It was an incredible year for me as far as my development as a coach.
I always try to attack my weaknesses as a coach in the off season. Maybe I don't have enough good zone offense. Maybe I'm not teaching how to press from the right angles. What did you identify in your early years as the areas you wanted to get better that maybe you didn't have enough of initially?
Well, I think you make a really good point, because after every season you sit down, and I believe most coaches probably do this, and you look back on a year and you say, okay, what did we do well and why, and what didn't we do well and why, and how can we get better as a team and a program, and how can I get better as a coach? I mean, if you don't do that after every year, I think you're kind of cheating yourself.
Right.
And even being in it this long and being a college coach for over 30 years, I still do it every year. And I said, look, we need to get better at this or at this or at this. And then there's certain avenues that you take to try to do that. I love watching other teams play. I love picking things up. There's certain roundtables and certain people you trust in the profession that you can go to, and you really, you trust others' opinions, and you pick their brains and go from there. But I think every year you got to try to get better in certain areas.
I think I know your area of strength. You were a shooter. All your teams have shooters. You run a shooting camp, and when I joke around with people and I say, if you want to watch Scott Coval recruit, just go out there, point at a shooter, and I guarantee you that's one of the guys he likes, because all his players can shoot. Is that coincidental, or is that really how you recruit?
No, we obviously, I think shooting is a lost art right now. We run our shooting camp, we run a shooting clinic, and it's been great for us. I mean, I was taught by Hank Slider. When Hank passed away, I kind of took over the camp, and it's very much a teaching camp. We don't play 5-on-5. We teach shooting, and to me, that's not taught enough. And I think a lot of coaches, for whatever reason, aren't comfortable teaching it. It's not just, hey, Brad, go out and shoot 50 more shots. If you're using the wrong form, 50 more shots really isn't going to help you. You need the right mechanics. You need to understand why you're missing, not just that you're missing. So that's something we really try to work with younger kids in our camps and clinics. And as you get to college, there's only so much you can do with kids when they're already 19, 20 years old.
Right.
They've been playing for 10 years, their shot's kind of ingrained. You can tweak their shot and you can help them. Tracy Simsick is a great example of that. He's a sophomore on our team from Souderton. He's having a great sophomore year. He was a terrific player from coming out of high school, but his shot was not where it needed to be, and we worked constantly with him last year, just trying to get into a better rhythm with his shot, and he's shooting a great percentage now. So you can see a lot of improvement. You can tweak kids' shots and make them a little better in college, but you want to try to recruit kids who have the basic fundamentals.
Right. Well, you've won 451 games. You've been Coach of the Year in the Freedom Conference 7 times. And you've been in the business, like I said, a quarter of the century. Looking back on it, did you ever almost jump or go to a Division I school? What was your career goal when it all started, and how likely was it that you were going to still be here after 25 years?
Well, not very likely, quite frankly. I played at Division I. I then coached at William & Mary for a year. I then coached at Penn State, and then I coached at Lafayette for 5 years. So I had all Division I experience. And when this job came open and I was offered the job, I was ecstatic about it because I wanted to be a head coach. I was 30 years old. But at that point, in no way did I ever think I'd be in Division III more than 3-4 years, and I'd go back to Division I. But you know, when you get to a place and you realize that they support the program, and you realize you can get really good kids, and these kids really want to win. I tell people all the time, I mean, from my experience at Division I to my experience at the Sales, is there a talent difference? Sure there is. You know, Division I guys are bigger and stronger, and that's just the way it is. But there's not a difference in the kids who want to win, you know, or want to get better. That's the same. That's the same. If you have a good program, you have kids in your program that want to win, want to get better. And when I got here, I found out that's the case. And basketball is basketball at that point. And so, sure, I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be here 25 years. I thought I'd be here 3-4 years and maybe go back being an assistant somewhere with some of the people that I knew. But once I got here, once I experienced what the Sales was about, the school, the support, the administration, it was right. And so at that point, hey, this is something we could really turn into something special, and I think we have.
Well, you know what? It's time for halftime. We got to have a little tea and crimpets. I don't want you going home saying we didn't feed you, so we're each going to have a little tandy cake here. There's yours.
I love tea.
I love it. And you can't beat honest tea. I mean, it's the best stuff on earth. And this stuff, you're pretty healthy. I don't think you eat.
So is that a plug for Honest Tea? Is that a sponsor?
Maybe
I
it is.
actually really like Honest Tea.
So do I.
Quite frankly.
You
There you go.
can't beat it.
Cheers.
Cheers. Although this is raspberry, I do prefer the green tea. And I also like the peach, but they were out. So continue enjoying that. I have a few more questions here. Now, everybody sees you as the straight-laced coach. His shirt's always perfectly pressed. He's dignified.
That's my wife, by the way.
Respectful. Oh, is that right? What do you listen to? Like, if I drive by the Coval house in the middle of summer, what do I hear blaring out of the back room?
Oh, Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, yeah?
Van Morrison, Stevie
Oh,
Wonder.
okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely. But heavy on Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. You get
I've
down to that?
probably been to a dozen Jimmy Buffett concerts.
Is that right? I would not have guessed that.
Absolutely.
What's the farthest you've gone?
Oh, no, just down at Camden. I'm not a crazy nut about it.
Okay.
No, but yeah, Van Morrison, Stevie Wonder, old time stuff.
Okay. That's interesting. How about the rap stuff that the kids are playing in the locker room?
Some of it's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, some of it's not bad at all. I can't say I like all of it.
Right.
But I don't think any of my players have ever heard any Jimmy Buffett songs either. So.
Right.
No, some of it's, you know, some of it's not bad.
Let's test a little old school trivia here. There was one of my favorite shows growing up, The White Shadow. Can you name the point guard and can you name the center?
The center was Coolidge. The point guard, the guy who was a coach was Howard, not Ron Howard. I forget what his first name is.
Well, Ron Howard, yeah, that was the actor.
Yeah, but I don't. The guy, yeah, the point guard was Salami.
No, he was on the team. Goldstein was on the team. Reese was on the team. Starts with a T.
Well, I don't know. I just remember Coolidge.
Thorpe.
I don't know. Thorpe. All right. there
Morris
you go.
Thorpe. You remember that now? All right, it's time for the
I
lightning
flunked the
round.
trivia question?
No,
I
you
flunked
got half. You got half. It depends on which school
50%.
system we're in. For some, you might have met the
Who's to the
standard.
grading? At Whitehall High School, that's an A? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Exactly.
At Southern Lehigh, that's an F. Is that right?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. It depends how strict the standards. All right, we're going either or now. Lightning round. You just quick, top of the head, whatever you think of. There's no explanation. First of all, college or pro?
College.
ACC or Big Ten?
ACC.
Post players or guards?
Oh, come on.
I know the
You
answer.
can't even ask me that question.
I know the answer.
Look, I love post players. We have a great one right now in Kwaku, Dawson, Amoa. We had Brett Moyer, we had Phil Stricker, we had All-Americans at the post, Ed Lipinski. Had great post players. But come on.
But I know where your heart
You
is.
got to have a
with the
good
guards.
point guard. You got to have a good point guard.
And were you a point guard? I know you were more of a shooting guard, but did you play
I was
the
a shooting
point
guard
also?
in high school, but in college I was a point guard.
Okay, I think that's the most important position on the floor.
I do, but I'm a little biased, but I do.
Yeah. Palestra or MSG?
I played in the Palestra.
Okay.
And I coached in the Palestra.
Oh yeah.
And the Palestra is an awesome place. I'd never played in MSG and never coached in Madison Square Garden. However, I was up there for the Big East tournament once, and I snuck on the court and got a couple shots up just to say I scored at Madison Square Garden.
Nice. I did that at Cameron.
Is that right? I played at Cameron too a couple times, and I coached
yeah?
at Cameron. Yeah, Cameron was a great place.
With William and Mary?
Correct.
Okay.
And one of the great stories, I don't know how much time we have, but we pull into Cameron, and has to be an hour and a half before the game, and we're just out shooting around. And a lot of students are already there. So one of my teammates is out shooting around, and one of the fans is yelling to him, hey, Bobby, hey, Bobby, hey, Bobby. He finally looks up and says, did you go to St. Stephen's in Virginia? And Bobby's like, yeah. And the kid just started ripping up. I felt so bad.
They did their research.
It was incredible. It was a fun experience. The game wasn't a whole lot of fun.
No,
The experience was a lot of fun.
So who was the best player you ever played against at the college level?
The best player I ever guarded in college was Johnny Dawkins.
Okay.
He was the player of the year in the college in the NCAA that year.
86.
Correct. Lenny Bias might have been the best player. David Robinson was in our league, so we played against David Robinson. He was my year. We played against him 8 times.
Any luck?
We beat him a couple times. His last couple years, he was just dominant. And my junior year, we were really good, and we lost to him in our conference tournament in the semifinals. He's one of the top 50 players of all time. Lenny Bias, who died of the cocaine overdose after he got drafted by the Celtics, might have been the most talented player.
Would he have been better than Jordan?
I don't know that. We never played against North Carolina. We played against Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia.
You didn't play Ralph Sampson, did you?
No, we beat Virginia the year after Ralph Sampson left.
When they went to the Final Four that
Correct.
year.
With Rick
Othell
Carl.
Wilson.
Yep. Othell Wilson was a
Jeff
tremendous
Lamp,
player.
was he still there?
He graduated. He was
Okay.
gone. Othell Wilson was a tremendous player, really hard to guard. But probably Johnny Dawkins was the toughest guy. I couldn't say I guarded him. I was assigned. I was assigned to him.
You were assigned to his region on the
was
court.
assigned to him. Exactly.
That's good. LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan, however, LeBron is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know these people who are LeBron haters. You watch him play, the guy does everything. He's a tremendous passer too.
Yes.
He's so unselfish, which is something obviously we try to preach, and he's a tremendous passer.
I saw him at the Palestra when he was in high school doing that tour when they played Strawberry Mansion, and it was billed as a one-on-one with him and the kid from Strawberry Mansion who was the all-time leading scorer in the Philadelphia Public League, and that kid didn't score, I don't think, till the 4th quarter. The kid that for Strawberry Mansion. LeBron was
Well, one thing about Jordan too, Jordan was such a great defender.
Oh, yeah.
And you see LeBron, and those guys can't do it for 82 games. It's just too much. But when it's game time, LeBron is a tremendous defender. He guards all 5 positions.
Well, and he did not have to, Jordan didn't bring in 5 of his friends to stack a team. They'd add Rodman, they'd add a player here or there, but they weren't doing what LeBron was doing.
He didn't have to. He had Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, well, that's one.
I mean,
That's one. But that at least came through the draft and proper channels.
true.
That's my stand on that. The last question I have for you here.
is that all for the lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have to add some more to that then next time.
Honest tea.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's as far as we get with the lightning round. But the last question
Trying to get
here.
Honest Tea as a sponsor for the sales.
Hey, sounds good, right? I think they have a place down in Philly too, from what I hear. I just read that on the internet the other day. Kids today, is there something they're lacking coming to college? A certain skill, footwork, dedication? Is there something you want to see improve with the game going forward? Kind of looking off into the future here, that maybe
That's a great question.
things need to be fixed a little bit.
I think kids today are terrific. I think kids today are committed. They're driven, just like they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, just like they were when we were in high school. I don't think that's a change. They do need footwork. I can't tell you how many high school games I'm at for boys and girls,
Yeah.
and kids are stepping up with the wrong foot to shoot jump shots and then wondering why the ball's not going in.
Right.
That is something, and just, you know, if you learn how to dribble, pass, and shoot, and shooting is real, like we talked about before, is so important to get when 7th and 8th grade. If they learn that, they'll be so far ahead of the game.
I tried to teach that and put a big emphasis. It's not as exciting as going up and down though. So you gotta, at the high school level, if you give too much of that, you'll lose them a little bit.
That's true, but the hope is that, especially from the boys' side, if they watch they watch Golden State play.
Yeah.
You know, they watch the Spurs play. They watch LeBron. You get guys who are giving the ball up and making the extra pass and doing the right things on the court. And the hope is that kids watch that and say, hey, these are the best players in the world, and they're winning championships. Here's how they're doing it. Let's play that way.
All right. Well, thank you, Scott Coval, for coming out today. I coached against him when I was at Muhlenberg as an assistant and watched him over the years. And I always notice, you know, whatever the score is at halftime, they go into that locker room. When he comes back out for the second half, they're a completely different team. They have things figured out. And it's a credit to your coaching, because I've seen you do it time and again. And, you know, you might be getting outplayed. You might be down 10 at the half, but you have the other team where you want them, and that's why you survived 25 years. That's why you are going to be winning 500 games within 2 years.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate you being your first guest.
Yep, thanks for coming out.
And thanks for the honesty.
Take some with you. Thanks.